The LTC II, also known as ATAC II on the Russian server. We have already covered it last year, but it never came out, stuck in limbo. Our version is slightly different, at least visually and some mechanically, as a premium tier 9 American light tank. Our version has 5 more rounds in the autoloader, so 10 round 90mm main gun, comparable to the original 76mm on the Bulldog with a 10 round clip. So it's a tier higher but more alpha damage. Also similar to the TST into the 𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗖 or the Charlord AP58 into the 𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗖. They added additional side skirts to this vehicle. Changed the cupola machine gun into a pig, not the 50 caliber, not the 𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗖. Removed the splash guard on the hull front and added additional spotlight to the turret, but small stuff. It's still autoloader 90mm main gun of a combat light tank, so very comparable to the Project Luis that we recently covered. It's a high priority target. You have to kill this thing off. It can assassinate a lot of vehicles. Halfway point, right? When half your team is dead, this thing could just easily pick off like solitary lone wanderers across the map. So especially against lower tier vehicles like a tier 7 or tier 8. Imagine fighting this thing in a KV3 or Tiger 1. You don't have the view range to outspot it. It has the firepower to burst you down. It's scary. Also, it has some armor too, at least on the turret, and slope armor on the hull front, so throw a few unaimed shots as well. Yeah, this thing is a high priority target. You have to kill this thing off, right? Counter scout this thing immediately with your like AMX 1390 or something, but have to kill this thing off right away. 50 caliber is replaced with the pig. 50 cal is also bigger on this turret too, but we'll take a look at the difference on the Russian server coming right up. But it's not a bad looking vehicle. It's more like a medium tank at this point, but here is the Russian server. We covered this last year. They also removed the smoke grenade launchers on the turret front, but splash guard on the hull front is missing. So there are hinges, and you basically turn this thing up, and this thing could wade through water, right? With the splash guard in front, but they removed that. Could be like space armor, but additional side skirts covering the tracks. It is double tracked, similar to the Yo tanks, so blow off one pair, you can still drive or get into cover, but not as fast. 50 cal on top is replaced with the Bulldog, with the pig, but bustle is a little bit different in the back. It is a medium tank disguised as a light tank. So if this thing will have more health at the cost of moving camo, I think it would be a decent medium tank, but maybe a light tank could still work. Maybe. So it's the size of a medium tank, granted. It's still a premium tier 9 on the Russian server, but yeah, this thing is pretty huge. Yeah, side skirts, the pig, lack of smoke grenade launchers for additional spotlight on the side of the turret. See, additional spotlight without the smoke grenade launchers. Same gun design too, with the caliber. Yeah, with the bore evacuator on the front. Yep, same gun, same model, just slightly different visually. It's all arbitrary, right? All arbitrary, but 90mm main gun. Shell velocity is pretty decent for a standard shell. 10 rounds in the clip. I don't know what 1.5 shot per M is per meter? Per minute? That doesn't make sense, but whatever. But it's still lots of damage, right? 2000 damage in 18 seconds. Kinda scary, but base DPM is still about 2000, so not too crazy. 2 seconds of aim time. Accuracy could be a little bit better, but yeah, you're asking a little bit too much for the autoloader, right? 60 rounds in the clip. I mean, potential damage is not bad per se, but it's still 12,000 potential damage still might be a little bit too low if you spam too much, right? But then again, it's a light tank. You're not supposed to do that much damage, so to speak. I don't know. 10 degrees gun depression, 20 elevation, 4-man crew. Fits your T-49s and Sheridans. But about 35 horsepower per ton ratio, 65 kilometers per hour top speed, fast hull traverse, decent turret traverse, 1500 health. Turret armor is 76, but it is very troll. We'll take a look. Hull armor is only 32, but it's well sloped. And camo's not great for a light tank anyways. 400 meters of view range. View range is surprisingly slightly better than the average to counter the camo. Average is like 390 for a light tank. Radio, below average, but it's okay by like 30 meters, 80-ish. So in-game garage, screenshot of the stats. 2100 DPM, base accuracy could be a little bit better. Aim time is relatively quick. You'll properly aim between each shot. And 223 millimeters of pen for APCR is not bad. Gold shell is like 260. 265 for heat. That will go through. Not the tracks or space armor though, so be careful of that. You have to properly aim. So you do not carry high explosive. 10 round high explosive, no. You don't carry high explosive with this stuff. No. 40 seconds of reload for 10 rounds of high explosive, no. So no high explosive for you, but about 20-ish tons of weight. Don't ram stuff. Camo combat light tank, right? It's very similar to the Project Luis. I mean, you have a better burst, but it takes longer to burst. Project Luis has 1 second between each shell of the 75mm. It's a bigger caliber, but takes double the time between each shot. So, high priority target. Kill this thing right off the bat. Otherwise, it will assassinate any low tier vehicles. It will give you lots of problems if you're just by yourself, especially a heavy tank when you cannot just turn the turret around fast enough, or a fixed mounted gun tank destroyer, assault tank destroyer, right? You'll get true through the side armor and the rear armor with this gun. So high priority target. Must kill this thing right away. It's also a premium, so yeah, high octane playstyle when you think about it. It is still, I don't know how you describe this thing. I don't think it's toxic when you have a high skill cap, and the gun model is different on the pre-render page or the icon page. It looks more like a traditional 90mm with this gun barrel design, like on the patents, right? So, that's weird. I mean, whatever. So there might be more guns for this vehicle originally, but change it to a premium tank in the meanwhile. But let's take a look at the actual difference on the Russian server. So other than visually, it's a 5-round clip on the Russian server. Now granted, it's faster to fire between each shot, and obviously the clip reloads faster with more alpha damage. DPM is not as good with worse accuracy, longer aim time, and less gun depression too. So gun is questionably not as good as our version, but that's debatable, right? Let's see actual dispersion. We covered it last year in August, but dispersion while moving is pretty good, as what you would expect, but base accuracy is kind of crap. Also not as good horsepower per ton ratio on the Russian server by like 5, which is pretty huge. So yeah, let's take a look at armor first, and then we can cover the actual mobility. Less health, surprisingly, 1350 compared to 1500 than our version. Turret front is 140 to 160 on the Russian server. Our version is weaker by all means, but there are parts that might be troll. 76, alright. It's weaker, to put it in layman's term. It's not as strong, so might not be the strong turret front of the Russian server version. I mean, it's a well sloped 140 and 100mm, and about 200 around the gun. So it could troll a few shots on the Russian server. Our version, the best armor is 76, so we're unlikely to bounce any shots. Very much unlikely. Hull front is 32. It's about the same, but might be auto bounce for like lower caliber guns. Yeah, it might be auto bounce in some angles. Yeah, debatable, but against itself, its own 90mm, yeah, you can bounce a few off your upper plate. So it's like a S tank. So higher calibers overmatch the actual armor. Yeah, but more health at least, and better performing gun, I guess, with more horsepower per ton ratio and the same top speed, about the same weight. Faster hull traverse. Faster hull traverse, same top speed, better horsepower per ton ratio, less weight. 680. 650. So yeah, less weight with better engine power. Obviously goes faster. The same camo too. Yeah, camo's not great. About the same camo, but Russian server has 10 more meters of view range. So I mean, it's what you would expect out of a combat light tank, right? So we recently covered the Project Luis. The new patch has hit, therefore we can take a look anyways. But tier 9 French light tank. French has a lot of tier 9s already. Project Luis, big chunky body, also quad track, but still did not get modeled with the Yo-Tank spare track system. So about the same DPM, about the same burst fire-ish capability, but just less alpha damage per the burst. So takes twice as long to reload, but yeah, about the same accuracy when you think about it. Less horsepower per ton ratio, less health. Armor is only 30 on the hull front. Yeah, we covered the armor. The armor is not like 50 sloped on the upper plate. That would be way too good. Yeah, 25 on the hull front. It's only 50 on the bottom plate. So it's not like auto bounce 50 on the upper plate. That would be way too good. So it's not crazy. At least better camo at the cost of view range. Oh, 20 less meters of view range for better camo. So it's a combat light tank. It's a very much same scenario with the Project Luis when you compare the LTC II. It's like high priority target, kill this thing right away, otherwise it will just detriment your entire team. Especially the lower tiers, especially a tier 7 or a heavy tank or an assault tank destroyer. You'll just chew right through, right? It's even scarier than the basic of combat light tanks like the T-54 lightweight, right? This thing has some troll armor, but it's not a burst fire gun. Or the T-49 is very situational. Doesn't really have the camo, but has the capability of the 155 or 152. Without the rockets, we need the tow missiles. That would be great. adding a tow missile to this turret would be crazy. But they won't do it. It's not like Blitz. There's the Sheridan with the tow missile attached. So yeah, high priority target. Kill this thing right away. But it always bothers me how you must kit this vehicle out to just be the same as any other scout. In order to just be the same way of playstyle, right? So there's no variety in equipment choosing of the vehicle. So it's like the T-49. T-49 doesn't have really that good of a camo when you think about it. I have the camouflage trained on the crew, but you really have to go with the basic of the equipment loadout. So commander vision system to help out with the bushes, especially with the bonus, as well as the low exhaust noise thing and the optics. So you cannot really mount stuff like vertical stabilizer or rammer if you want. Originally I mounted the vertical stabilizer and rammer because of the 152, but you're just not going to spot as good without the actual traditional equipment for light tanks. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that we don't have the actual equipment choosing of actual combat light tanks when you're matchmaking with other light tanks. But yeah, let's take a look at average stats of stationary camo of tier 9 light tanks. So yeah, possibly the worst camo. It's even worse than the T49. It's worse than the VCS. VCS is basically a loaf of bread on wheels. So, a baguette, if you will. But, yeah, the worst camo out of a light tank. But, you have the firepower. So, it's very much like the LPT 67, the Selma. It's a combat light tank, right? It's a combat T-54 lightweight. So, might as well just go with the standard commander vision system. Better camo, better optics, the basics. Now, field mod wise, for all light tanks at tier 9, it's all the same other than wheeled vehicles, but there's no difference. There's no combat variety of light tanks. So, first one, better engine power or better top speed. Engine power is already good enough. I would say better top speed. Always go with better top speed. Like, get to places faster, get to bushes faster, better top speed. Accuracy or DPM? I would say accuracy, right? Better accuracy. DPM is already debatable. Burst fire, autoloader, debatable DPM, right? Better accuracy. Also, with the AMX 1390, DPM cut is not that much. Not really that much. But accuracy difference is pretty dramatic. 0.35 to 0.38. That is a big difference for like 100 DPM. That is a big difference. I would rather take the accuracy over the DPM any day. Any day. Better croup protection or reverse speed? Always go forwards. Reverse speed cut is like 21 kilometers per hour. Or 20 on the AMX 1390. Driving in a circle, right? Just turning in a circle. Don't go backwards. Unless you're like poking a hill, maybe. But always drive in a circle. And better croup protection means, yeah, you get better spotting when your commander is knocked out. So less chance of commander being locked out or the loader or the driver. But finally, camo or view range. Now this one is debatable, but I chose camo simply because you keep the camouflage while moving. If it's on a medium tank, you could do a better view range, but this one you get a little bit more out of the camo than the actual view range part, right? And sometimes it's a city map, so you're already close enough. I would say better camo. Camo is better for light tanks than actual view range, but that's debatable. This one's a very debatable topic, but overall, high priority target. Kill this thing right away. You have to. Otherwise, it just runs amok. Through your lower tiers, through your soloed out heavy tanks in city maps. If the heavy tank is by itself, easily kill this vehicle. Or this vehicle will kill the heavy tank and just runs away in a city map. So, cannot let this vehicle live for too long. It is the same as the Project Luis. This thing just have a better burst than the AMX 1390. Yeah, this thing has a 4-round clip, but it's not as scary of a burst fire potential because the accuracy, the aim time, the gun depression, not as situational, right, as the ATAC. This gun has better burst with better aim time, the same accuracy too, and about the same, well, actually better DPM when you take a look at it, but yeah, just the camo is not as good. You know, offset but better mobility, better horsepower per ton ratio, and better base view range without the optics. So, I don't know. It's like the Project Luis. I give a high rating to the Project Luis simply because it's an AMX 1357 at tier 9. This vehicle is highly reminiscent of the original Bulldog. And that was crazy back then. The Bulldog got like immediately nerfed. Like within one patch. You did not see the 10-round Autoloader 76 anymore. Immediately. So, when the hell was that thing? But, let's see. Give me a split second to see the view range of tier 9 light tanks. Ew. So, yeah. Better than the average view range, but at the cost of base camo, of course. But, when the hell was the actual Bulldog? Like 1.0 with the... Actually, it was a little bit earlier with the 76mm. It was at tier 8 for the Bulldog. It doesn't even have the gun anymore, just single shots. Yeah, it's a single shot. It doesn't have the freaking gun anymore. It was earlier than 1.0? Holy crap. The highest or the earliest of records? 9.18? That's like more than 10 years ago. Yeah, way more than 10 years ago. What the hell? Still doesn't have it. 6-round clip. Oh, this is the Nerf version. They took this away too. 6-round clip is still kind of meh. They took that away even though DPM sucks. Really? It's 9.17.1? No way. No way. That's a single shot. No way. 9.17.1. That's more than... That's more than 10 years ago. Holy crap. That was the original 10-round clip. You have the same burst fire potential as a AMX 5100, but they removed it into a 6-round clip without DPM and took that away too. So, yeah, the old Bulldog. That is crazy, but a high priority target. Rating wise, I would say it's a fun vehicle to play. It's not a fun scout. So if you're being countered by AMX 1390 or the GSOR 3301, it's not a good time, but if your opponent's light tank is dead right off the bat, this thing will have a field day. So play a little bit more reserve when you're starting the battle, but once the enemy's light tank is dead, you can just run amok, right? Especially when half of the enemy team is dead. So high fun vehicle. High skill cap of a vehicle too. You need to have map awareness, you need to know the basics, better than the basics of the camouflage system and the spotting system and the nooks and crannies of the cover, right, to take advantage of the high mobility. But high skill cap, I would say the same boat as an AMX 1357 at tier 9, so at least 6.5, possibly 7. This thing doesn't have the armor as with the Russian server, but has better mobility, so that's a trade-off, and better gun performance. Debatable, but high skill cap of a light tank. But then again, all light tanks are generally high skill cap. This one is even more so. If you want to have a good time, if you already know the game like the back of your hand, great vehicle to pick up. But if you're just starting out, you'll not have a good time, simply because crap camo and the armor is still kind of crap for the large size of the vehicle. So YOLO rush, you're dead, and basically the enemy will have a good time instead of you. So high skill cap vehicle, but I'll give it like a 6.5 or at least a 7 or at least 6.5, similar to the Project Luis, but very scary if left unchecked. So definitely high priority target. But there you go, folks, the LTC 2 or ATAC 2. So as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
あれが未来に何度でもずっと食らいつくこの間違いだらけの世界